Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to part 2 of the SMT10 Raw Builders Kit build series. We have the axles already completed here. Next to install, we have the links, steering link, the 4-link, and we're going to move on then to building the Servo Saver here, installing the servo, and then maybe we'll get to doing bag D, which is going to be the D bag. Is going to be the shocks. We'll see if we got time for that in this video. If not, that'll be the next video. But we've got this basic part. We've got the trusses here to put the servo on, and we have a servo. I'm just going to put a dummy servo on for now until I get the one that's supposed to go on here. But we'll get that going, show you how that all goes together. But we're actually going to be swapping out some of these parts during the build, so just be watching for that. You'll be using these stock ones unless you want to go ahead and see this video and order up some of the other parts that I've already got for mine. Which some of them I highly recommend. I always do these. They're cheap. I used to get the hot racing ones in black, but they only have them in colored versions right now, so I decided to try this Triol one. Basically the same idea. We'll show you that when we get to it. And then the lower links, I really like these Vanquish ones. I'm going for all black with this truck, so I got the black ones. Alright, let's get to it. We're going to start with installing the Triol steering link, which is pretty cool how this works. Axial does make one as well. So what I do like about this is where they mount this upper part of the link. Some of them kind of stack a whole bunch of stuff here at the end. This is just simple. The hot racing does this as well, and I just prefer that method. No reason why exactly, but that's what I like, and that's what I've stuck with and I've had good success with, and so we're going to give these ones a go and we'll see how they do. But these are by Triol, just a simple metal, feels like aluminum, and it'll mount in here real easily. They just slide right on in like so, and we're going to be good to go. We'll just put our screws in. Go back to the directions though, we'll show you exactly how that works. If you are building the kit, you can see here in open bag B, which we do have here, we need to open. We're going to be getting out these longer screws that they show on the side, what we need to be able to build this, as well as some of these. So yeah, you have to put in the pivot balls if you're doing the stock one here. You got pivot balls that go in, 4 of them, in order to install it with the screws and then mounting them in here. So I still need to use these AXA 118 screws and the hex nuts to hold this in place, but I'm not going to be using the rest. So I guess the medium size, there's 3 different sizes in there. So I'm just going to go ahead and start putting these through. Now these are pretty beefy, but there is a little bit of flex, which could be good for the monster trucks. I got away from these when I was doing crawling. I didn't like having that flex when I really was trying to get the torque out of the steering servo on the rocks. And so I've just kind of moved that way forward, and now I just like the look of the metal ones. Just clean and simple. Alright, so that was simple. You guys will have a few more steps with the pivot balls and that in order to get yours, or you can just go ahead and order one of these. I'll put a link down in the description below for this. And what I am going to probably do is I am going to back this out though, and we're going to add thread lock on it just in case somebody didn't do it, because this is going into metal and it doesn't look like they had. So win-win on that choice. Made a good decision right there, right? So that was easy. Now we're going to move on to our links. Again, I'll show you guys the directions that you have to do, which are a little bit more complex than mine. But again, you have to get the pivot balls out, and you're going to be getting these screws that they're putting through. I guess as support screws with the pivot balls in there. I think it's just to add support where it's separated here. You're going to put the pivot ball in just to maybe keep that from crumpling. I don't know. They have a reason, I'm sure. But we're not going to be doing that for this particular build because we're going to be doing the Vanquish goodies that are right here. Right, so Vanquish ones. So let's look at their directions. These are probably some of my favorites. It's so simple. Basically, this pivot ball gets clamped into place using this positioning clamp, which is super slick. And then you Loctite this set screw to tighten the pivot ball and hold it in place. Pretty clever. Find the right one. They are directional. It's just going to slide in like so. And we're going to put some blue thread lock onto this screw. I'm going to tap that in there. And then we're going to use the little grub screw here to position it and tighten it in place. You'll see in a second. One of the tricks I usually do is I just take an old bag like this one. And I just put some on it. Ooh, this one's feeling low too. And then I just have to use one of my tools like this to just run it through it. Oh, shoot, I dropped it in there, of course. So I'm getting it on my fingers regardless tonight. I wanted to wear that blue Loctite. So we're only going to do it lightly, because what it's going to do is it's going to rocker this thing in when we put this little guy in there, which might be a different size. Yeah, 1.5. So as we push up on this, it slides that forward, tightening that down. You do it until it's in place without any slop. So that feels pretty good. And then you go back and you finish. So then you go back and you finish tightening down this set screw to hold it. Hold it right where you put it with that. And that is how it's done. Amazing. And we got to do it for the front one too. Okay guys, so I just finished installing all the different pieces on these Vanquish links. They're ready to go for the lowers on here. Now what we need to do is we need to prep the uppers, and that is going to require us doing the pivot balls out of here and inserting them into each of these. So that is the next step. Arm. So I'm going to put these so the larger side is on the outside facing out of the truck. There we go. So that'll go again in. The axles sitting like this. These will go in here and then come out to the outside, and I have the larger part of that pillow ball here on the outside. Pivot ball, not pillow ball, pivot ball. So here's where we are. We're going to be putting the long screw through to hold the uppers. I'm going to start with the lowers so those aren't dangling in my way. We'll get the lower ones in really quick. They thread right in to the plastic, so all you need is the little screw, and then we'll use the nylon nut up here for the longer screw. Pretty simple. So it goes in the lower hole here. There's two holes. You're going to use the lower one. Get my 2mm wrench going here. Get this thread started. And then I'm going to just drive it the rest of the way through with power this time. Ooh. Alright, so now we've got the long screw, and it's going to go through and hold these in place. Now, as you can see, the setup is it's going to mount to the cage, so you need the angle to be going away like so. This is going to push through center part of the axle here, so I can put my little wrench in here. So I think this is a 2.5. As far as the instructions go right now, is complete. You can see how it's going to look. We're going to do the other one, which is the same process, so we're not going to really record that. We'll be back right after I finish doing that. Alrighty guys, so we have both of them now assembled. You can kind of get the idea of the lay of the land. Alrighty guys, we're going to move on to the next part, which requires us to open bag C, which has the hardware we need to install the servo and the parts for the Servo Saver and the servo itself. So basically you've got a whole bunch of these little rings here that we're going to be putting together in order to make our Servo Saver. So you've got your metal silver ones that go on the outside. You've got a copper one that's going to kind of go in the middle. There's two silver ones that are the same size, so you've got to get one to fit over the other. It just means stretching it on. Copper one in the middle, and then there's a black one here. My copper one was already kind of seated in there, so I just left it. There it is. Lastly, we're going to put this little kind of locking one in the middle here, which we could probably, okay, there it goes. Now we need to get the plastic parts. Alright, so you got to choose the right one of these. They got numbers on them, and a lot of these servos are 25 tooth on here, which mine is. So I make sure I grab the one that's 25 tooth, and I'm going to put this onto here. Easiest thing I've ever assembled. Alrighty guys, so following the directions, you can get this thing kind of lined up, and then I just really had to go at it with needle nose pliers, squeezing it hard to finally get this thing kind of seated properly. Now we're going to go ahead and build out the rest of this, and we're going to kind of temporarily install it on our servo, but until we get our servo on our truck and hooked up to power, we won't be able to actually center it. So I'm not going to go ahead and Loctite or anything like that. Put it on now for the time being, and then we'll adjust it later when we get it on the actual car and have power to it. We'll center it up. There we go. So this is just going to mount onto the front end here. So we got to get one of these mounts. Gonna screw this into place. Screws in here. You got these screws with the really large head. That's what's going to be used to hold the servo in place. 4 of them. And this part will be done. Alright guys, that is where we're going to wrap up this video. We've got the 2 axles with the links and the servo installed. And the next video we're going to be looking at the shocks, installing the shocks, and just kind of plugging along on this build. Getting it done. So thanks for tuning in. As always, have fun RCing, guys, and we will catch you in the next video.